Happy to be with all of you. I am in Chicago now, enjoying wonderful weather outside. It is really nice cold. I was kind of avoiding this weather. Not really avoiding in winter. I am always in India, but this year I'm kind of trapped. And this is a nice trap. I enjoy this trap because there is no program, no traveling, and when you have more time, you can do the things, right? And for a few weeks, I'm all alone by myself. When you are alone, you can do whatever you want, right? In Hindi, there is a saying, "Ek Niranjan, do gadbad." So when you are alone, you are supreme being. Nobody is going to disturb you for anything. Problem starts when there are more people, right? So I enjoy this time being alone. If you have not seen Chicago cold, you should come and try. I think now the temperature is with wind chill. It is probably -12 or -15 degrees Celsius. And it's snowing also. Yesterday it snowed again. It is so snowing, I think today or tomorrow. Okay, I think Baba, we should get started. Okay, let us start with prayer. If you know Sahana Bhavatu, let us chant all together. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karvavahe Tejasvi Navadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurudeva Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Remembering the masters, remembering God, and praying to them to bless all of us in our spiritual path. Om Tat Sat Om. Namaste. My humble pranams to all of you. Thank you for joining. So today, the discussion will be based on teachings of Paramahamsa Yoganandaji, and this is the book. You all might have seen this book, Man's Eternal Quest. And the topic that I have thought, Even-Mindedness in a World of Change. As you know that we had planned for the celebration of Paramahamsa Yoganandaji 100 year coming to the West, but God had a different plan. And I think 2 months ago, somebody asked me here in Chicago, did Guruji not know this is going to happen and we cannot really do the celebration. If he would have known, why did he plan like that? This is a very interesting question. I said, well, you can ask this question to Guruji. But the realized masters, even if they know, but they will not go as against the wish of or the will of God. Even if Guruji would have known and he would not have planned for this event. Of course, people would ask, Guruji, you know everything. Then people will blame him for everything. So they know they will not disturb the natural flow. God has a plan, let it move in that way. Right? Interesting incident in the life of Paramahamsa Yoganandaji. Before he went to India in the year 1935, you know that he went to India. And just before he left for India, he had seen the Encinitas property and he had in his mind to buy that one. Just before he left, he told Rajarsi Janakananda, Mr. Lean, I wanted you to show this property, but I'm leaving for India. If you have time, please go and take a look at this property. It looks a nice one. We can buy that one. You consider that one. Then he left. In the meantime, Mr. Lean saw the property. He bought the property without informing anything to Paramahamsa Yoganandaji. And they thought it will be a gift to the master when he comes back from India. So Paramahamsa Yoganandaji came back after a few months, as we know. Then immediately he remembered and he asked Mr. Lean, did you see the property? If you have not seen, let us go and take a look at it if the property is still there. Then let us go. They all went. In the meantime, he and other disciples had this plan just to, it will be a surprise gift. And when he entered into the property, then Paramahamsa Yoganandaji saw something, a kind of building. Immediately he closed his eyes. And immediately he mentally prayed to God, oh God, I don't want to see what is there. Let it be a surprise. And the story followed and it was a surprise gift. Then later on, when they asked Paramahamsa Yoganandaji, why did you close your eyes? Then Paramahamsa Yoganandaji said, as I entered into the property, immediately Divine Mother told me, close your eyes, don't look further. So the question is, did he not know that the property has already been bought? Right? Yeah. So they would not go against the flow. There is a natural flow, let it move in that way. Right? But however, we did not do it, the real celebration, but this is another kind of celebration. We are at home finding more time for our spiritual practice. Right? Guruji said, in the life, everything is about celebration. When we are happy, joyful, we celebrate the life. When we are not happy, we are sad. Guruji said, this is also celebration, though we do not call it a celebration. Right? When there is, funeral mass or the memorial mass, people sing the song. I remember a few years back when we visited one church, one disciple had died, and they sang, and we joined the singing. And I remember the beautiful song, we shall overcome, we shall overcome. And we sang this beautiful song, right? So everything is celebration in the life. We do not enjoy because our mind is too conditional. Mind is too conditional. That is why we do not enjoy the life. There are wonderful stories around. In India, during the freedom struggle, one person, this is a true story, The person was to be hanged. He was given the death sentence. And the day before, the jailer and some other officials came and met him and told him, tomorrow is the day you are going to be hanged. Do you have any wish to fulfill? He kept quiet. Then another person who knew him very well told the jailer and the officials, this person loved eating mangoes. If you could organize some mangoes, he will be very happy. Next day, the same day, that day, they brought big basket of mangoes in the morning. Very, juicy mango, very soft mango. They gave him and told him, here are the mangoes for you. You can eat and be ready in the afternoon. We'll go. They left the mango basket. When they came back after few hours, they found he has not eaten any of the mangoes, and the mango is still intact. And they thought maybe he is very sad, he is very unhappy. That is why he didn't eat the mangoes. But to the best surprise of everyone, when they lifted the basket, it was a very light basket. How come it is so light but the mango looks intact? What he had done, he had a skill. He took the juice out from mango in a nice way and left it like that. And it looked as real mangoes. And everybody had a big laughter. So the question is, just imagine, the person is going to die just in a few moments. He's going to die, but he had that strength. He had that mood to bring joy out of people. Who can really do this? As I said, everything is celebration in life, but we do not know how to enjoy the life because of our conditional life. Guruji said that who can say life is beautiful? Who can say there is no sorrow in the life? Either a person who is highly established in that supreme truth, or a madman who doesn't know about the life. Apart from this kind of people, for rest of us, we see the sufferings. We see the dangers and difficulties all around us. Especially now, we see so many people are going through so much of suffering. And we see the suffering, as Buddha said, if you really collect the tears that have rolled down from the human's eyes, if we gather them together, it might cross an ocean. Means there is suffering, there is difficulties all around us. Says Patanjali in Yoga Sutra, he explained about it. He said there are 5 kinds of afflictions. Afflictions are the sufferings. Ignorance, ego, attachment, fear of death or attachment to the body. So these are the different kinds of sufferings we have. But as you deeply analyze these 5 kinds of sufferings, you will find they are deeply connected to our mind and the memory. Right? Everything is linked to our mind and memory. So in one sense, if we understand this, if we know how to take care of our mind and memory, then we found solutions to all the problems. Says Patanjali in Yoga Sutra said, there's 5 kinds of sufferings. We go through all of them in 2 forms. The sufferings can be manifest in the form of manifestation, means the sufferings or the difficulties have already manifested in our life, that we see, that we feel. The other kinds of suffering which is not yet, means they are on their way. For example, we are going through some kind of health issue, means we see the problem has already manifested. The other thing, it is on the way. It is about to manifest. When the right time would appear, that will also come into the form of manifestation. Now the question is, how do we manage these 2 kinds of sufferings, which is manifested, which is not yet manifested? And when you study Yoga Sutra, especially the 2nd chapter, says Patanjali says, when you see the problem is manifested, there is a way how to deal with them. When you see the problem is not yet manifested, there is a way how to deal with them. In the Sutra 10, if I share the screen, okay, if you look at the screen, the Sutra 10, what does it say? It says, Te pratipasava heyaha sukshmaha. Sukshma means subtle. When the obstacles are in subtle form, can be destroyed by returning them back to the origin. So you need to go back to the root from where they are manifesting. Before they manifested, before they come into the surface, you just remove from there so that they will not come back to the surface. The 2nd sutra says, Dhyana heyaha tat vrittayaha. When the problem has already manifested in you, how to do? It says their modifications are avoided by meditation. Commenting on this particular 2 sutras, says Vyasa said, Kriya Yogena Tanukruta. He mentioned about Kriya Yoga practice because, as we know, the 2nd book of Yoga Sutra starts with a definition of Kriya Yoga. It says, by practicing Kriya Yoga, you can avoid these 2 kinds of sufferings. One is in subtle form, one is in manifested form. Guruji said, the definition of Kriya Yoga as given by Sage Patanjali, it has 3 aspects. Tapaha, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. Guruji said, when the sufferings, when the afflictions are in subtle form, you do tapas. Tapas means, in our technique, practice Kriya Pranayama and continuously listen to the Om sound. When you do this practice, then what you can do, you can go back to the root from where the seed is manifesting, and you can roast the seeds there itself. That is how you can remove the subtle sufferings. And when the sufferings have already manifested in our life in the form of anything, says Vyasa said, Sukha Dukha Mahatmika. He said, Sukha means happiness, dukkha means unhappiness or sad. Says Vyasa said, both are suffering. For a person of intelligence, both are suffering, and when they are already manifested in you, how do you manage? You practice the last aspect of Kriya Yoga, which is Ishvara Pranidhana, or surrender to God. When you see the problem is there, you surrender to God. Oh God, I am already going through this problem. Please help me to get rid of these problems. That is how we deal with these two kinds of suffering. Now I'll stop the screen share. Paramahamsa Yoganandaji, he said that in the West, because as we know, most part of his life he spent in this country, he said in the West, people give too much emphasis on the physical comforts. When people feel cold or people feel hot, immediately turn on the heater or cooler. As a result, what happens? We do not really cultivate the strength of mind. Slowly, we become a slave to the demand of the body and the conditions of the mind. This kind of slavish response to the demand of the body, eventually what happens? Our mind is weak. Then Paramahamsa Yogananda said, look, when you see that you feel cold or hot or problem in the body, who is actually feeling? Is it the surface of the skin or it is experienced in the brain? This is experienced in the brain. And mind uses the brain. Right? Mind has three places to function. When we are in wakeful state, mind uses the brain. Means our mind is very active in the brain. In the dream sleep, mind is active in the throat. In the deep sleep, mind is active in the heart or goes to the rest. So it is experienced in the brain, which is controlled by the mind. So if we know how to regulate the mind, easily we can manage the various demands of the body. Gurudev Paramahamsa Hariharanandaji, he was quoting a saying in Bengali. He said, Jato rog mudite or bhudite. All the diseases, it is because of our mind or because of the food. All the diseases. Guruji said all the diseases, first they are created in the mind, then they come to the body. When we say the mind, it is mostly the restless thoughts and all kinds of emotions. All kinds of emotions. It is all because of the mind, and rest is because of food and the environment. So when we practice Kriya, this is our main focus. And you see, when you deal with the mind, eventually you deal every aspect of life. And we know that Swami Sri Yukteswarji, Lahiri Mahasaya was playing with Swami Sri Yukteswarji. For a few days, he tested his mind. He told him, today you look sick. And next day he felt sick. Then again he was, oh, today you look very healthy. Then he felt healthy. So it is all the play of the mind. Paramahamsa Yoganandaji said, the pain and pleasure that are created by the mind or the pain in the body can be lessened by practicing control over the mind. oversensitivity to pain and pleasure strengthen their effect and vice versa. Then Paramahamsa Yoganandaji said, a pampered child, he said, a pampered child suffers greatly over a little hurt, even a little hurt. Then he said, and a Spartan trained child can wince at big problems of life and not care about it. Right? So, how to train the mind? That is how the masters have taught throughout the ages. Then Paramahamsa Yoganandaji said, the comfort and the convenience develop in the West just to pamper the body. Just to pamper the body. As a result, what happens? We do not really cultivate the power of the mind. And when you do not cultivate the power of the mind, we go through various problems in the body. And, as Paramahamsa Yoganandaji said, body is more pampered in the West. When I came in the year beginning in 2010, and one person visited from India, and he saw me here, and he saw me in India. He said, how do you feel in Chicago? Is it very cold? I said, of course it is very cold. Do you take hot shower or cold shower? I said, we have both facilities. I said, whenever I feel like, I do in that way. Then he told Guruji. Then Guruji said, in the West, body is more pampered than India. It is really true. Because of, because of convenience. Because there is so much of convenience around us, we do not cultivate the power of mind. Paramahamsa Yoganandaji, as we know, from 1925 onwards, for a few years, he did the spiritual tour. By the car, he drove in different parts of the country. And one day they were going, and there are a few young men, they are following him, driving together, staying at the places, doing the spiritual talk, Kriya initiations, then going to the another place, like that. So one day Paramahamsa Yoganandaji and one of his secretary, they both slept in the car, and they had one blanket. And it was very cold. In the middle of the night, Paramahamsa Yoganandaji pulled the blanket from him. After some time, he was feeling cold. Then after some time, he pulled the blanket because that was one blanket. And while this play was going on for some time, then Paramahamsa Yoganandaji immediately thought, what am I doing? Am I really cold? Immediately he switched the mind. He felt extreme heat in the body. Now he did not need the blanket, because it was so hot in the body in extreme cold weather. He went out. There was snow. Because there was snow, and he said, okay, let me meditate there. And he started meditating in the deep snow. Then after a few hours, when this person got up and other students, they saw that he's already there outside. They thought he has left his body. They're so scared. Then after some time, Paramahamsa Yoganandaji opened, hey, what is this going on? Why are you making so much of chaos here? So, to switch the mind, and it is not really that difficult. When somebody called me a few days ago, and he was giving me the weather warning, it is going to be very cold in Chicago. You be safe and warm and things like that. I said, do you think I should go and meditate outside in the snow? Then she said, well, if you realized, you can go. Then I told her, look, to meditate outside in the snow, you don't have to realize. You need to cultivate the strength of the mind. But I don't want to do that. Why should I cultivate the mind to go out? But think of the people who live in the Himalayas. They don't have warm inside the house. They manage to survive. It is just needs some training and little bit of determination, willpower. You can easily manage, and you don't have to realize for that. Here Paramahamsa Yoganandaji said one interesting thing, that this is, and we can develop this habit. And if you read that book, Paramahamsa Yoganandaji said, habit begins to form from the age 3 onwards. Any habit, if you really want to develop, if you develop early in the life, it is little bit easier. In the later part of life, it is not really difficult, but it takes really some time. So to cultivate the power of the mind. Then he said, if your mental well-being is too much depend on the condition of the body, a time will come when the mind is so slow enslaved by the demand of the body, no amount of physical aid will help. He said, if you feel hungry, just eat some food, but learn to manage hunger when there is a need. If there is a cut in the body, you put some ointment, but don't depend wholly on the medicine. And once we cultivate that strength in the mind, as I said, so many problems in the life we can easily manage. And that we can do sincerely by practicing Kriya practice. In the Bhagavad Gita, there is a very beautiful verse that talks about in this line. And if I share you that particular screen, so this is the verse. This is from the 2nd chapter, 14th verse. It says, Matra sparshasthu kontaya shitasna sukha dukkadaha agama apaino nityam tan titikshusu bharata. Here, Lord Krishna is teaching, O son of Kunti, the contact of the senses with object causes heat and cold, pleasure and pain, have a beginning and an end. They are impermanent. Endure them bravely. Heat and cold, happiness and unhappiness, success and failure, they come and go in the life. They are not permanent. Saying, you should endure them. You should endure them bravely. Guruji said, in the life, you avoid the reactions. Many reactions come in the life. You need to learn. And again, Sri Gurudev said, you know, why there are 3 S in Sanskrit language? There are 3 S in Sanskrit language. He said in Hindi, S means Sahan, Sahyam. Sahyam means tolerate. 3 S means you tolerate, tolerate, and tolerate. So one aspect of life is to understand the life, endure them, whatever problem comes. That is how we live or we manage the life. There are second options in our front. You see if it works with you. If you want to live your own life, change the atmosphere, change the society, change the people around you, change the world. Can it be an option? Can it be an option? Many people might have tried, or many people have tried to change the people. But finally, they face the failure. It is not really possible. It is not really possible. There is a sadhu. When he was a young person, one day he was praying to God for something. He had been praying sincerely for some time, and he wanted some work to be done. For that, he needs God's blessing. He prayed for many weeks. After some time, a thought came to his mind that let me do the work in this way. And he performed that work as the thought came to his mind, and he got the result. He went to his grandfather, told that, what is the purpose of praying to God? Because finally the thought came to me and I did the work. And his grandfather told him, look, why that thought did not come to you that time? Because of your prayer, God gave you that strength. God gave you that intelligence. Finally, it is you who are going to do the work. And God is there behind to support you. Adi Shankara, talking about the tolerance, he said that not necessary you find solutions to all the problems. Sometimes the solution is you go through the problems and that is the solution. And you learn to tolerate some things. And that is the solution. Not that you find solutions to all the problems. And if you look at this particular verse from Viveka Chudamani, it says, Sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratipkara purvakam chinta vilapa rahitam sa titiksha nigadyate. The bearing of all afflictions without caring to redress them. Being free from, at the same time, from anxiety or lament on their score is called titiksha or forbearance. Not that you redressed all the problems. Sometimes you need to go through some problems. Sometimes you need to tolerate certain things, and that is the solution itself. And if you see, what do we really tolerate in the life? Sometimes we do not like the atmosphere. Sometimes we do not like the weather. Sometimes we do not like the people around us. Sometimes we do not like the country. Sometimes we do not like the politics. We do not like many things. And when you don't like the things, what do we do? When you try to change, then you're going to go through the problems. So to tolerate this, and that is the solution. So this kind of tolerance in the life is known as lower kind of tolerance. There is a higher meaning to this, which is explained again in the Bhagavad Gita. There is a higher kind of tolerance. And the higher kind of tolerance is explained in one of the beautiful verse in the Bhagavad Gita. And the verse, this is the verse. Very interesting and nice verse. He says, Shaknoti hi eva sodhum prak sharira vimakshanat kama krodhat udbhavam vegam sa yuktaha sa sukhi naraha. This is a very interesting verse to understand, to analyze. And the meaning says, those persons are yogis who before giving up the body are able to change, able to check the forces of desire and anger, and they are alone happy. To control the force of kama and krodha. Kama means the passion, krodha means the anger. It is very easy, in a sense, to tolerate the weather, to tolerate the people around us, to tolerate so many different things in the life. but it is extremely hard to tolerate or to face the force of passion or the force of anger. And anybody who can face, who can challenge these two forces, it's known as sayuktaha. Yuktaha means the person is spiritual, the person is happy. Anyone who are able to challenge, who are able to force, able to face these two kind of forces, this kama and krodha. About this kama and krodha, it is said that they come like a hurricane, or they come like a tornado. And when they rush with a strong velocity, they can throw any weighty object into the sky. It is extremely hard to face these two forces. And when the impulse becomes so strong for the mind to control, at the time what happens? Our mind becomes one with the object, or one with the desire, or one with the impulse. At the time we do not have a separate mind, our mind has become the impulse. It is said when the desire gets out of control, when the desire gets out of control, and that is known as kama, that is known as a passion. When we cannot really control it, and when it is still under control, we can call it a desire. But when it goes out of our hand, then we call it a kama or the passion. How do we commit the mistake in the life? In the beginning, we start with some small attempt. Sometimes people learn to smoke or drink, and initially they start with very little smoking or drinking. Then slowly what happens? The devil catch hold of the person. When the devil catch hold of the person, now the person loses the freedom. And sometimes it is so hard to get rid of that particular habit, people really cannot take in. And finally what people do, they commit the suicide, they end their life. And when can they happen? When they are given a long rope. When they are given a long rope without any kind of directive, any kind of intelligence behind, that is where the problem happens. That is why the masters say it is better to have no preferences in the beginning. No preferences. That is how they can be subdued. And especially when you live with some masters. And that is how they say. And I remember one interesting incident that happened with one master who was Gurudev's relative and in Puri. And the master told the disciple, because somebody did not come for meditation in the morning, and the Guru was informed that he was sick. And next the Guru saw him. I would have been very happy for you to come to the meditation in the morning and died in the meditation hall. I would have been very happy that one of my disciples died while meditating. You may think this is like a torture kind of word. And that is how the training can happen. It is not that the Guru doesn't have love for the disciple, but that is how they train. In the name of sickness, don't avoid the meditation. Right? It is said that when our consciousness stand like the witness, then we have some freedom. And when the consciousness becomes one with the impulse, then we do not have any freedom. We do not have any freedom. There is no consciousness. They all have become the impulse, and we are one with the flow. And when our consciousness stands behind us like a witness, we have certain amount of freedom. Now the question comes, how do we free from their effect? Lahiri Master said, Kriya in Bengali he said, Kriya anushthan byatit kam krodh dur hoy na. Without sincere practice of Kriya, we cannot be free from the force. We cannot be free from the force of kama and krodha, the passion and the anger. The simplest way to handle is to practice Kriya sincerely. That is how the beautiful teachings of Paramahamsa Yoganandaji, when we practice Kriya sincerely, eventually we learn or we train the mind in such a way it can adjust to any of the situation. And this is a matter of sincere practice for a longer period of time. Okay, with this much of discussion today, so we will go into the meditation now. Thank you so much. If you really want to know more about this topic, this is the book, and the topic I chose, Even-Mindedness in a World of Change. There is a specific topic on that. You read this, very interesting, and you will really love it. And very systematically, Paramahamsa Yoganandaji is guiding how to train the mind so that we can free from the various demands of the body. Okay, so let us close our eyes. Wherever you are sitting, please sit with spine straight. Concentrate in between the two eyebrows. Slowly bring your attention to your breath. Observe your breath very carefully. When the breath slows down, we experience calmness and peace in the mind. When the mind is calm and quiet, we have better control over our life, better control over the body. deeper concentration in the Ajna Chakra, in the soul center. Concentrating in between the two eyebrows. Now, you please take a deep breath. Inhale. Hold your breath. Gently bend forward in the front. And slowly you exhale. Stay in that position for a few seconds. Allow the more energy, more prana into the brain. Every breath you are watching with love. Now take another deep breath. Inhale. Hold. Slowly you sit back. Sit straight. Exhale. Mind is focused in between the two eyebrows. Deep concentration. Every breath you observe, being conscious within. Let us practice few times. Deep breathing, deep inhalation, deep exhalation. Take a deep breath, inhale, hold, exhale, inhale, hold, exhale, inhale, hold, exhale, inhale deeply, hold, exhale, inhale, 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 hold, exhale. Quietly sit for a few moments. Keeping the spine straight, mind is focused in between the two eyebrows. Introvert all your attention into the brain, in the subtle space within. Transcending all the thoughts. experience the oneness. Experiencing inner tranquility, peace, offer your prayer. Remembering Paramahamsa Yoganandaji and all the masters. Seeking guidance and blessings. Let us offer our heartfelt prayer, deep gratitude, just by bending the body, slowly sitting straight. Let the blessings of God and the Gurus be upon us all. Thank you so much. Pranams to all of you for participating in the discourse. Though we could not do the celebration the way we wanted, as I said in the beginning, Master Paul, God had different plan. Let us celebrate within ourselves. When we grow within spiritually, that is the real celebration the Masters wanted. Thank you so much. See you. Take care. Be well. Pranam.